Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that is always heard and never ever will be seen, Schemes.
Absolutely. That shall remain. What's up?
AKA the background killer.
That'd be me.
AKA Dr. Claw. AKA the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, man.
Again, better than your average is the channel and the movement. How did we get here is the show. We got two cousins that are like brothers talking any and everything in the process. How did we get here? Welcome back to another episode, beautiful people. Thank y'all for tuning in, man, and joining with us, man. As usual, we want to send y'all love, peace, and blessings, man. Positive vibes to you and yours and your family out there, man. But Schemes, how you doing, brother?
Good. What about yourself?
It's all good, baby. It's all good, man. Want to thank y'all as usual, like I said, for tuning in. Go check us out. We're using our Riverside FM to record this right now, so you can check out the audio on Spotify at How Did We Get Here with Jay Carter and Schemes, and you can look us up on YouTube at Better Than Ya YA Average. And check out all our videos. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, help us make our movement in the algorithms and all that good stuff, man. But man, let's jump right into it, man. As low level content creators, and everybody, in this sphere is talking about it, man. So I said, me and Schemes talked today. I like, man, let's give our take. You know what I'm saying? We try to take like a different route where sometimes we don't touch topics like that. But I mean, hey, we're going to give our piece. We like to run our mouth.
And a lot of times, people go for the clickbait type stuff.
Right. We like genuinely have position on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And a lot of topics that we usually touch, is more for, to edify your soul, not just for the clickbait, but for those that want to hear it. Right. Touch the current events. Yeah.
So, for content creators, especially in the hip hop sphere, culture, the Joe Budden Podcast and the show, how we've been watching it since it was I'll Name This Podcast Later, which I thought was a dope, Yeah. The Joe Budden Podcast, or the JBP, has basically revolutionized the podcast game in the last 3 years or so. I think it's been. They're 400 or something episodes deep. And for us, they're the Joe Budden Podcast, we shout out Corey Holcomb. We shout out, and that's the 5150 show. We shout out Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, the Breakfast Club, Hot 97, a whole host. But Joe Budden really broke the mold as far as a hip hop podcast where he became a voice for culture, period, and always. And really, we could even say from when it started with the podcast, but then, he was doing Everyday Struggle, and then he moved to the Joe Budden Podcast, and then they did a deal with a huge deal. Well, a lucrative deal, you'll say, with Spotify. And to now they moved out of that deal to where they're in this space, and there's been some turmoil amongst the group.
Yeah.
It's
understatement.
I was talking to Kuma today, and we were just talking about how some, that old thing where it's hard sometimes when you do business with family, right? So basically what's happened is that there have been some tension on the show for a while. And one of the co-hosts, Rory, there was a few times when things were a little tight between him and Joe, which is Joe, you guys, he's the A Mike, you know what I'm saying? The show's named after him. He had the most fame from being, he was a hip hop artist. But he does have great takes and great perspective on hip hop business and culture from his, being in that game for so long. But there was a few times when, Rory basically offered to shoot him the fair one.
Yeah.
And sometimes as men, we will joke with each other where you like, hey man, I want to fight you. But, there's, as men, you can sense when there's another little element to it, though.
It was the consistency. But, because over the 400 plus for 37, whatever episodes, they've always joked about fighting.
Right.
They had, people have the clips of him and Mal fighting, tussling,
right,
or him and Rory talking about boxing. So it was always, those different things that comes up. But I think the consistency of Rory week out the week, like, yo, let's go and get this out the way.
Right.
Kind of let you know that it wasn't just all jokes.
Right. And to go back, guys, what transpired this week, where they took a break from the show, a few weeks. Mal and Rory took a few weeks, and so Joe brought in some other homies, Ish and Ice, and they kind of just moved on without missing a beat. You know what I'm saying? And many people were speculating that they weren't going to come back, right? So they came back and they had a very awkward, weird episode where they were kind of, Joe did an episode where he talked about kind of what was happening before they came back. Then, 6 weeks went by, they came back. They talked about it. It was very tight. Skeens and I talked about it like, bruh.
Yeah.
They saying that because they're all still like arguing the positions from a place like it's not resolved, but they're saying it's resolved, but you can tell that it's not resolved.
Bro, it's no different than like if you cheat on your woman. And she said, I forgive you.
Right.
but she keep bringing it up. But she constantly bringing it up. She
and that's what it was.
And it was completely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but I think Mal said in one episode, doing this turmoil, you learn that everybody's not built the same.
Good point.
Your moral compass that you may have,
right?
You can't put that burden on other people to expect them to be you.
Do you think it's key in business, to the best of your ability, to try to align with people who morally line up with you, though?
I would like to say so, but at the same time, a lot of life is common sense.
Right.
And
indeed.
It's common sense, but it is morals and principles.
Right.
And, a lot of today is kind of gone by the wayside. But as long as, once upon a time, you didn't have to sign a contract. That was when you had the key phrase of being a man of your word.
Yeah. Handshake.
A handshake. Yeah. You lived on your word. If you didn't have your, Scarface.
Yeah. Yep.
So if I can't trust you to live up to the understanding, I think this, right? I think communication is key in any relationship.
Absolutely.
So even if you're not designed the same way I am, I would like to have a understanding up front of who you are. So therefore I can tailor my expectations of you and how I view you and what I expect of you and vice versa. But if we don't have those conversations, we're just assuming.
There you go. Yeah.
If you're dating a female and you all never talked about situations, she's assuming that you're the only one. She's the only one you're dating.
Right.
But you're still playing the field.
Right. Yeah.
And she's expecting, hey, I thought it was just you and me. And he's saying, I never told you that.
Right.
But in her perspective, I thought it was just you and me. We spend so much time together. We're doing these different things. We're doing boyfriend, girlfriend activities.
Type things, yeah.
But in his mind, he's like, I just like doing some of those things anyway, and I need companionship and whatever.
Hanging out.
I never labeled that.
Right.
So if you don't tailor and have, I'm not going to say a verbal contract, but at least have the framework of what we're dealing with.
Yeah. And I think too, what you're talking about, Skeen, is that I think what happened in their case, and we'll kind of take y'all back down the track with, is that one key that you're talking about in communication, you got to communicate often. And sometimes I think in their case,
the checkup,
the check-in, you know what I'm saying? That's one of my things I do is I will just randomly text or call people just to check in with them. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I think what happens is you can sometimes get jaded about checking up and checking in when things are going well. You got this ultra popular podcast. Joe threw out some figures today I don't know if he meant in the podcast sphere or what, but he said something to the effect that Rory and Mal are paid in the top 5% of A mic broadcasters, is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Which is a, and their schemes that I talked about, you know, they were doing good business because right now they're at the height of what they make, and they are not under an official deal outside of what they're doing with Patreon. And then they have a partnership with Cash App, but they haven't signed that quote unquote big lucrative deal yet. And they're still have been able to increase their money. But all that said, Joe comes, they have that uncomfortable conversation. They do another episode. And so the internet is the whole time, y'all, the internet is in, you see videos. If you go on YouTube right now and type in Joe Budden Podcast, you'll see us as well as all these other commentaries, because it was really a big deal because people were so invested in it. I would liken it to people were as invested in this as people were into Grey's Anatomy or Friends or any of those Seinfeld, anything like that. So Joe, in the midst of this, I told y'all that he brought on his other friends, Ish and Ice. He then starts I think that show is just going to be straight to Patreon.
Yeah, because
Ish and Ice.
So they're not natural podcasters, which I don't think many of us are.
Right.
But
none of us are. But
they're not PC.
No, so not at all. No.
In this day and age, when you have to watch your speak, when you're on Patreon, I can say what I want to say because you're paying to see this.
Right.
So it's basically like an exclusivity. It's like you know, it's like a secret society. You know, but I think one of the things why a lot of people were invested in Joe wasn't the podcast, because it's crazy. As a musician, or within the music business, Joe was hated.
Yeah, he was despised.
And it's kind of crazy, full circle. Some of the things that he was despised for things that he's become, and the fragmentation of those different business deals are taking place now. Right. But in this case, he's on the opposite end. He's behind the desk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think a lot of our investment within that show was that him being an outcast of the music industry. So he's a part of, he takes you behind the curtain.
Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's what I loved about Joe.
And he was unapologetically, had stance, and he was unafraid to open up Pandora's box and let us in on a lot of things that happen in the industry that a lot of big name people would never say,
never talk about. And so, Joe, what I loved about them too is that a lot of times artists will make a play outwardly that looks a certain way, and Joe then will strip that all down. It's like, this is actually what that means.
It's almost like, secret societies. So Greek fraternities or Mason or whatever. They have their codes, so they live a certain way, but you had him, who knows all the language, and he would say, hey, I know this. And he basically would let you in on the secret society. Yeah. So you took a different lens, and you're like, wow, I never saw these different things. I never understood why people move a certain way. And he lets you in and kind of walks you through the beautiful mind of the industry, of the quirks of how things are formatted, and the Geppetto type. He was basically showing you
all of
everything that entailed. So in terms, we all became invested, because we then had a different respect for how things move and understanding the different the intricacies of the machine.
Well, it causes you to be also invested, and you feel like you're building relationship as a person that loves the culture, loves music. The person that unlocks, you love the dude at the door that's letting you in. You know what I'm saying? You love that guy.
But also his stance was, he was letting you in because he loves it. Yeah. He didn't like what the industry had become. Right. Yeah. So his job was to strip it down. Yep. Take, and basically expose all of that stuff, the hypocrisy of the industry.
Absolutely.
But along the way, as you build your brand up,
with success,
all the different label heads that hated him,
yep.
you constantly start seeing him hanging out with these different label heads.
Yep, success.
But because it wasn't because they liked him,
yep.
really.
No.
It was because the value that he had to the culture.
There you go.
They needed that value because
I want to be connected with that.
Well, when he used to do sleeper picks.
Oh, dude,
a lot of music spiked because of sleepers. And they would talk about how a lot of artists that would hit them up and say, hey, I appreciate you for shouting my song out or playing the song because my streams went through the roof.
Yes, just off of being on the Joe Budden. Because they're doing, guys, you got to think. And that's the other thing about the internet, what it's done and allowed you to reach directly to your consumer. Joe is doing, 1 million listens, however it's broken down, 1 million listens, an episode.
Yeah.
And it's an independent situation. And so you got to think about all of the ways that you can monetize that and how many ears you're actually hitting if per ep you're averaging about 1 million ears that you hit.
Advertisers and everybody.
Come on, man, all of that stuff.
Because everything internet is all about equity.
Right.
I take it back. It's more about real estate. It's the digital real estate.
Yeah, there you go.
That he owns, and it is monopoly. He monopolized so much of the internet and the takes and he's really, you know what, as I think about it,
hot take.
He is to the internet the way Jay was to trends when it
during that time. Yes. Yeah.
So every time Jay would say a certain thing, certain trends, hey, the way jersey, I'm gonna wear a button up. The same way that Joe has that same control when it comes to the digital space.
He really does. Yeah.
So those different labels, understanding that physical sales aren't the same.
No, that day is done.
People are not buying copies. Everything is streaming, and then when it comes to streaming, they get up. Now they do have they play an active role, and they do have percentage ownership in the different streaming entities, but it's nothing like that. Those physical copies that they were selling $20 a CD.
Yeah, y'all remember the time. Some of y'all remember that time.
The money is different, so they need his digital impact or his digital real estate. As he basically creates and carves these whole subdivisions of real estate online. They need that from him.
Right.
So it does create those relationships, and in the midst of him formulating those relationships with those people, his takes became less and less
spicy.
Spicy, or he was not willing to divulge as much as he used to because now I'm an in crowd.
Yeah.
Like Jay said, I'm in the in crowd.
Yeah. I'm in the in crowd. All the wavy light skinned girls is loving me now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's the difference.
But to continue on the trek, started the Patreon. And Patreon, you go in there, you subscribe, you basically pay for that content. You know what I'm saying? So it can't be censored or anything by YouTube or any platform like that, right? So people started to speculate already, but really at that point, like, is that really just the nail in the coffin to the Joe Budden podcast in the form that we had seen it in?
Yep.
So on this last episode that went to Patreon and got pulled down, of course, the internet's, man, people were able to record it, but Joe basically went on a 1 hour or so, a little bit over an hour, actually, conversation where he kind of detailed more some of the stuff that was really going on, and then proceeded to fire on air one of the co-hosts, Rory. So some of it,
he fired Mal too at the end.
I didn't listen to the very end.
At the end, he says both of them are fired.
Now he did say something like, basically, once they get their heads right and stuff that they could possibly, but after if you do me like, and I try to be, as egoless as possible, but once you do me like that in front of everybody, I like, hey, Skins now, once they were on there, it was parts where Mal was like, you're saying that because for me, when I disagreed with you about something, we resolved it, you can kind of talk about it from a joking kind of, we got over it place. But Mal was looking at him like, yo, you just find out that some dudes ain't gonna move like you move, and looking at it. And then when he's like, you never should have told Rory that he can't come to work. and he still is like this. I'm like, that energy is like they haven't resolved this. But it's not resolved.
And for Mal, I think it was like a culture shock because him and Mal have, give or take, 20 years of
they live together, they rock with each other.
To find out your guy after 20 years is moving different with you. Now with you know, unfortunately, you know, as we talk about the rise and fall of Joe within the industry, he's had different situations along the track to get here. You know, he had issues when he fell out with Slaughterhouse, you know, with Royce, Crooked, Joel Ortiz. That didn't go as planned.
Yep.
He had the thing with Shady Records.
Yep.
You know, Spotify. Was it Everyday Struggle?
Yep.
So along the way, there's bodies being dropped, but he would always justify it. Right. When you hear his perspective of why, then you say, okay, I see, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
Then with this, he gives his perspective, and you say, man, I get what he's coming from.
What do you think his overall point is? So y'all, he goes on, he fires them, and then he gives some insight as to where the disconnect was.
Yeah. I think one of the things was he felt some kind of way that Rory, let's go back. Before, when they was doing all the things, they were doing all these shows for free for many years, 3 years before they finally popped.
Yeah.
Especially when it was I'll name this podcast later.
Yeah.
And they were saying that they changed it because from an SEO perspective, and the labels wanted in order for the notoriety, they needed it be his names easier to find.
Yeah. And that's when you searching, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he was saying there was an argument there, and I get it, because they was like, hey, we've been in this thing from day one. Or as he said, Rory started episode 17, Mal episode 77, but when you at 433 and you've been doing this for years,
right?
Well, 437.
Yep.
That's day one to me, because we had no equity. We built up all this track together.
Yes.
The show wasn't the show.
Yes.
Before, especially even before Mal got there, it was still teetering.
Yep.
You know, they got a decent amount of views, but it was nothing to this point that it built up to the point that they was really like the first podcast that I can think of. I could be wrong. That was actually touring.
Yes.
You didn't see that. It wasn't a norm that you see a podcast actually on a world tour. That
blew my mind.
They're filling up stadiums.
Yeah.
And even Joe talked about
theaters.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He made more money in touring.
Yes.
As
for the podcaster
than he did his entire career as a rapper.
Yes.
You know, and he's been rapping forever.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Since the late 90s.
Bro, you got to think Pump It Up is still on all the dance joints.
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me you made more money from a 5-city tour podcast than you did all your years of.
And again, guys, that just shows you again the connection and grip that they had on culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But go ahead, Skeen.
And they made everyone that it became a family.
Yeah.
And the people that bought into it, because once again, he let you in and you felt like you was family. It was that connection.
Yeah.
It was the voice of the voiceless, and everybody that wanted to know wanted to be the cool kid.
Yep.
You felt cool because you understood the cool kids really were lame.
Well, and here's the thing that too about as in touch with culture and as cool as Joe is, some of the stuff, y'all, that we all love about those people we love is vulnerability. And Joe, the thing about him that is extremely weird at the same time, as Skeens is talking about, he's left all of these other things in his wake. Part of it is because of business, but part of it because Joe is like a tortured genius, so to speak, in many, many ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he does have quirks about his personality that if you don't know him like that, it can wear. And even if you do know him, it can wear on you.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
That's why some of the people that has been in his circle have in and out. There's only a handful of people that have really been there.
Right.
But they get him.
Yeah.
Like Parks. They call him the Joe Whisperer.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things was that kind of became an issue once they quote unquote got the bag.
Right.
Rory wanted a piece. You're like, hey, look.
Remember Mal? Remember we used to joke Mal was the bag.
Yeah, I want a piece. Right. We need some kind of equity. If you're preaching equity, the creators,
I'm here for the
creators,
right?
As being one of the creators, bust it down
with your people. Yeah,
some form of ownership. That way, I'm just invested in this as you are.
Right.
But when you tell me no, I do feel some kind of way. You say, hey, we built this, right? We built this city.
Yep.
We are friends. We in this together.
Mm-hmm.
And part of this whole building, you tell me that I can't have any equity in this.
Right.
So basically, I'm building up your kingdom.
Right.
For you, with the understanding that I'm just hired help. So at any point in time that you say that I'm not your friend, I'm kicked to the wayside. Or you say, hey, there's somebody else I'd rather be have as my co-host. I'm kicked to the wayside. I've helped build this thing up to where it is. As they talked about, even when they got with Spotify, they were number one, and Spotify had, I forgot how many thousands of
they were basically number one until Joe Rogan came. Just to put that again in perspective,
thousands of different podcasts, and Spotify was investing in all these different entities to bring different podcasts around.
Yep.
And they were still number one. That means I have I'm valuable enough to make sure that this thing runs.
Do you think it was a power? Go back. I never asked you this, but do you think it was an intentional power move when Joe had the show changed to his name?
Well, he said that the labels, Spotify wanted his name, and I get it because him being the most notable person, right? But at the same time, the show being named, I'll name this podcast later, was what it was. It was still a great show. So despite the name that you say that I don't have to say your name to know who you are.
Right.
Yes. So there are many shows that aren't named
after the
actual host.
Yep.
So Family Feud is not named behind Steve Harvey.
Price is Right. Wheel of Fortune.
So on and so forth.
Jeopardy.
So and I get it, but at the same time, I think that it was easy when they was all broke. I mean, I'll take it back. It was easy when there was no money to bust down. It was done because the show was for the love.
Yep.
It was friends kicking it, having real conversation, dialogue about different things, different topics that they felt some kind of way about, good, bad, whatever. But once the money got there, instead of saying, hey, let's do right by each other with the money, it now became, oh, this is mine.
So as I'm sitting here,
or also I think somewhat even Joe kind of expound on it. He felt some kind of way that Rory wanted some ownership.
Right, he did. Yep.
So you're mad at me for wanting ownership when I'm helping build this, but I'm also mad that you don't want to give me. I shouldn't have to ask you for a piece of the pie when we're all saying we're in this together we popping champagne, we talking about we getting this and we doing this and good or bad, but at the same time, we popping it for you. Now I'm getting paid well. Let's not act like they're not getting paid well, right?
Right.
The money is great. So,
and that's let me ask you, and really to you guys. So a part of the division, of course, is that Rory wants to know, what's the splits? Let me see the books, which, Joe's like, well, no, I'm not letting you see the books. You know what I'm saying? So would your opinion be, question for you guys, should they, this is Joe Budden show, is named after him. And I'm looking here, I was scrolling through Scheme. In episode 108, it changed to the Joe Budden Podcast. So from 108 to now we at 437, it's been the Joe Budden Podcast, right? So if you are paid well enough, should you be quiet? if you're not investing as much. Well, now, again, Skeens and I have talked about this, and we may have shared this with you guys. Skeens and I, whether he does, and this, again, talking about relationships that I'm not just preaching and not practicing it. Skeens and I have a relationship where it can be as something as small as me stealing his food. Because I'm still like his little brother, and I have to go steal food when he has it. To if it's something business related, from that to that, and anything in between,
nothing changes, man.
What he has, I have. What I have, he has. And we always have this running joke that if something ever happened and one of us get the bag or hit a deal,
leave work.
We're gonna text each one another, whoever it is, say, "Hey, leave work now." And I'm going to know that that's the code word, that we didn't hit it, because he my man to such a degree that, again, a part of my come up in life, for me to feel like I've really achieved what I want to achieve, is that only if he is with me. You know what I'm saying? So my point to that is, guys, is that I wouldn't have a problem busting down anything with him at all, because if I'm owning something, this is my mind frame, is that I haven't officially achieved the goal if I own something and he don't own something.
Right. If with the amount of work they put in, right, that shouldn't even been a question. Now, even if we talked about the splits,
right, talk about that, yeah.
Even if it should have been, we talked about it. It should have. Even if you say, "Hey, you're the name,"
and you're the name, 50% you,
50% Joe, 20% Parks, because he's the engineer, his spot.
He engineers, it's his spot. Show. He engineers every show. And in that, guys, Joe Budden has like a network now where he has several shows on his network. But go ahead.
And then 15 for Rory. 15 for Rory, 15 for Mal. Even that would have been more than understandable.
Right.
But when you tell me, no, I can't have anything. Right. Okay, what about some of the YouTube money that we're generating, because all these shows on YouTube? Well, that's my YouTube channel.
Right.
Wait a minute. You tell me I can't have any form of ownership, but at the same time, you talk about ownership and busting it down with the creators.
Yeah.
You talked about how Spotify wanted you to give up all of your equity, for the bag.
Yes.
We're gonna pay you this, but you got to give up all of your rights.
All your rights to your stuff.
It's no different than what he wanted from them. You build this up with me.
Yep.
You have no rights. So by working with me, you're forfeiting all of your rights to ownership.
Right.
Now, the money is, like I said, is great money, but all money ain't good money if the money doesn't bring you peace of mind.
Right.
Because at any moment that money go away. You know, with artists, the way they make their money is basically off of catalog.
Yep.
And owning your masters.
Yep.
If money in that masters, that becomes generational money that you can leave legacy dollars, no matter you're not here, but that money still turning over every time your stuff is being played, licensed, so on and so forth. So you tell me I can have any of the you're paid good for today.
Yep.
What if the dollar crash?
Yep.
What if there's a different that we go from the dollar to the crypto or so on and so forth? Hey, this dollar that you paying me don't have any real value anymore. We don't know these things.
Yeah.
But gold is going to always be gold.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Certain things is going to always hold weight. That ownership, you always have the ability to license some of that.
There you go.
Because once again, you are the biggest show. You're the biggest podcast. So you mean tell me, even if it's a licensing deal, you're telling me I can't even have any of that licensing money.
Right. Yep.
How happy should I be that I'm building this for you?
Right.
And nothing in return, then you're mad that I'm not okay. I'm not happy with the money I'm being paid, because it's a lot of money compared to the regular, to the everyday person. But at the same time, there's nothing really here for you.
Right. Now,
be happy with it.
Now, to go on the other side, and we talked about this, does he have a point where he's like, yo, you want to see the books, but you basically come in and film, record what I forgot. He said maybe it's 30 hours.
Like I forgot how much time it is.
Did he say a month is what it is, or
I can't remember.
So I guess if they're doing
2
episodes a week,
and then now they got the Patreon, so that makes a 3rd show. But it's still,
I think he said it's like a month, something
2 to 3 hours. Let's say like 3 hours of shooting,
something like that.
Because every show usually runs about two
and a half, 3 hours, something like that. Depends.
So we don't know about the back end stuff, whatever is going on.
Does he have a leg to stand on? If he like, y'all come in here essentially and basically shoot the pod and leave?
Well, I think Rory used to have a lot of the topics also. I think Mal has a lot of the relationships.
Right.
So those different relationships of the guests, when you have Julian Randolph,
stuff like that.
All these different
sure.
people are because of Mal.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't, even Jay.
Right.
So, Joe and Jay-Z had an issue for the longest.
Yeah.
Mal helped
bridge that
over the years. So we can't act like Mal don't have a lot of value.
There you go.
Rory brings a lot of value when we're talking from a corporate standpoint, marketing. So they all bring some form of value, but at the same time, I'm going to stop giving my all when I come to you for let's bust this down. And to me, you're not doing good business. So why am I going to continue to give 150% when I'm not even going to get a percentage of this work?
Right. And I don't know
I'm going to do my job and go.
I don't know if this did or didn't happen or what conversations that they had behind the scenes, but that goes back to Skeen's initial point that this is something where, again, if we in this business and we got this thing clicking and I feel like you're not, invested like we're going to have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Now, what I will, in Skeen's that I was talking about, I said that boy Ian Schwartz, I mean, it's them contracts and them the business is on point.
Oh, yeah.
So it sounds like, I mean,
a lot of things on the horizon.
Unfortunately, though, in on the maybe to the negative side for Rory and Mal, I don't know what Mal, but he did mention that Rory can't even record anything for at least the next year.
Yeah, and to see, that's the thing, right? And that's the part I really don't get.
Yeah,
right. And that's when I was like, when you watch Star Wars, when Luke when he becomes Anakin.
Oh yeah, with that moment. Yeah, you looking,
and I'm not gonna let you. And if you start a show within the next year, I'm gonna sue you.
Yeah,
that was the dark side moment for me.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, why not go do you? You're not gonna be here. Yep. Go do. Why am I gonna stop another man's money? You don't want to be. You don't want to bust this down with me.
Right.
Why am I gonna stop another man's money? If not more than anything, I'm looking for a way to put more people on.
Right.
All of my guys, I want on somehow. Okay, let's say that you don't have ownership of this.
Right.
I want you to have ownership of something.
There you go. Yeah.
I want to help you. Hey, let's get this for you.
Right.
Or let's do this. Hey, let's do this.
Right. Now, I
know he did say something about Mal's,
talk about a sports thing for Mal. Then there was one show for Roy that didn't go through. Then he brought something else up for Roy. I can't remember what he said happened with that. I just, like you said, at face value, this isn't our normal relationship talk, but it all goes back still to relationships.
Well, and plus, we don't know what other things. It sounds good when you start talking about shows, right?
Right.
We don't know what other things that Mal or Rory were aligned with, because Rory has been working on the album, his Emotional Oranges album.
Yep.
Mal, we don't know what all Mal does.
But I tell Skeens, Mal is like Tommy from Martin. We don't know exactly what he does.
But he also does a lot of work with St. John, and his brother.
Yeah, he does.
Biggs.
Yep.
So they have a lot of other things going, but you don't know what all the different things they have going on. So you don't know how much you can completely commit to those shows when you have other endeavors.
Right. Yeah. So we don't know the ins and outs. It's just something he mentioned.
It sounds good.
Right.
But what if the days of you tell me, hey, let's get you a show.
Right.
But at the same time, how can I record the show if the show that you telling everybody I'm gonna get them a show? It's the same day we're recording.
Right. I got you.
Sounds good to the naked eye. Oh yeah, we're gonna get them a show. Yeah. Oh, well, he can't do the show. Did you also tell that the show schedule is the same time of this?
Yeah, of course. Well? We don't know the ins and outs, but you know,
so it sounds good without. We have to take a lot of things into context, or as well as know the ins and outs of those different things.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see when Rory and Mal have their piece. Schemes have been looking online, and Mal is basically saying that he's gonna jump out of character for 45 minutes.
Yeah, just tell
his. And somebody said, "Tell your truth." He's like, "Nah, it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth." So we'll see how it go. But this is a big deal, and again in this sphere. I also wanted to touch on. Y'all can let me know what y'all think and get mad if y'all want to. Okay. When women, the modern woman in this day and age, when she says that I want a man that's this, this, and this, I don't want a man this, he must earn this, he must look like this. She critiques. It's a critique. It's her standard. She's empowered. So when a woman critiques, she is applauded. When a man critiques, he is toxic. He hates women who hurt him. Maybe he doesn't even like women. You question his sexuality. So I say all that to say is, and the dude, I think his name is Coach Greg. And what we're talking about is, I'm sure another name I'm sure y'all have heard is Kevin Samuels. And Skeens and I have talked about him briefly, but we wanted to give him some time. The dude, Coach Greg, was saying that Kevin Samuels is the one that is elevated right now, but this message is not new. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And he's being beat up as a guy that's like hating on women and hates, and he's down talking black women and all that. But really, it's a conversation of accountability, though. Is really what it is. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk to you about, again, how did we get here to this point in life where, again, a woman can run you down?
Well, let's talk about the show the other day. So let's talk about that one.
Wait.
Which gives us reference to this conversation.
Wait, which show?
The young chick that he had on there. The one that was talking about her dad.
Yes. Let's go there first.
And that will give more reference. A frame.
So basically, y'all, Kevin Samuels, again, he started off, he was in sales. He became an image consultant. And he started off by giving advice and critiquing men. He did that for a few years. He then flipped it to women, and people have lost their minds. Now, not everybody, but there's a great faction. I was looking at a thread. I can't remember which Instagram page is predominantly like a woman's page. Mm-hmm. And they posted something. It was talking about when he said that to him, if you take the makeup off of Sweetie, in his opinion, she's a 6. Mm-hmm. And people are like, if she is 6, I'm a -3. And he hates women. Who hurt him? So anyway, he has women come on and they will have dialogue about relationships, expectations, right? That's pretty much. So he's talking to a young lady, and I didn't see the whole thing in fairness, but I believe
she's a college student. I think she's like 20.
From what I'm understanding, she doesn't have that much going on financially or career wise. Mm-hmm. Her expectation was a man that makes $500,000. Mm-hmm. So Kevin posed the question then to where, what would you think? So basically, based off what you're saying, your dad and your mother, they find out we're in the Marines. So you're saying a guy like your dad to you essentially is unacceptable. And she's like, yeah. And he was like, the logic of that, where do you get off to think that the people that raised you and brought you up in this world
are not good
enough? But the modern woman will be championed for it, because here's the thing. Kevin gets all this flack for talking about high value, but it's really only because every woman in general is saying they want a high value man.
And that's where the messages get lost.
His overarching message is we're going to fall somewhere towards the middle. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that instead of valuing career and education, mm-hmm. family, marriage, and relationship building with someone for a lifetime is where the true value in life is. And that's where he's looking for women to hear that, hey, I'm willing to take, I'm probably about an average chick, and I'm willing to have an average man and us to build a family together. Mm-hmm. But what we see is that average women are saying, no, an average man is below me.
Well, yeah. And you know, what constantly gets lost. The first question you always ask, what's wrong with the average guy?
Boom. But women hear that word average as a 4-letter word.
Mm-hmm. They look at average as failure.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But so, you know, to add more context to
the
conversation, right? DJ Envy and Angela Yee.
I wanted to go there too.
Were saying that Kevin's a clown.
He's lame.
He's lame. He's ranking these women, and then Envy talked about him being at the Hermes store.
Yeah.
Looking for clients. Well, so Kevin, during that conversation with this young lady, was using this as a teachable moment to tell Envy, apparently, my friend, you don't listen to any of my conversations.
Right. Yeah.
You look at clickbaits
and clips
and think that you have an understanding of our conversations.
Right. Yeah.
So he tells this young lady, how dare you say that an average guy, and for the patrons, this tale a person that's serving the country,
Marines,
the Marines, or whatever the faction of the military branch, because they're usually pretty much everyone in the military going to fall within the range of man from a financial standpoint that she says is beneath her.
There you go.
Right.
Yep.
So he's telling her, your father was good enough to raise you, but you're saying that your father's beneath you. How dare you disrespect your father that way?
Right.
And for Envy, that you're saying that I'm downing women. Your father's a retired police officer. So she's also telling your father, you and your father, even your father, who you look up to, is beneath her. This is the reason why he had this conversation. Then he asks her, and she then says that, hey, I don't want to be a working woman. My mother wanted to be, because her mother's in the military. So she says, she goes to talk about that she was raised by her grandmother.
Yeah.
So he then asks her, well, since you were raised by your grandmother, did you inherit any of those domestic skills? Mm-hmm. She states, no. He's like, hold on, right? You don't want to work. Mm-hmm. Nor do you have any domestic skills, nor do you want to obtain them.
You don't want to work, but you don't have the skills to even raise a family or take care of a home.
But not only don't have them, you don't
want them. I don't want them. Yeah.
So what do you want to be other than a trophy?
What do you want to bring to the table?
So you want to be nothing but a trophy. And which he told her, you have to change your ideology, because you're one injury away from having to change that.
Because he's actually because you cute. Yeah, that's what he asked her. Yeah.
When if that look is the fault to go away,
right?
Your standards have to also adjust.
Yes,
because that $500,000 man that you're wanting wants certain things. At the minimum, you got to be able to cook something. But she, in her mind, is, well, if he makes $500,000, we got a chef.
Right.
But I'm not. She's not understanding that that's 1% of the men.
Yes.
That are making that money, and half of that 1% is either married, and then you have a faction that don't want women.
Yep.
So you have to account for those different things. So he was really telling Envy, listen to what I'm saying.
There you go.
I'm only talking to people who want to be taught, who want this position. Mm-hmm. What do you do? That's no different than a job interview.
Yep.
If I go and try to become the president of Chase Bank, and I've never had any banking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good with math, but I've never worked in banking.
Yep.
I'm mad that I want this job. Mm-hmm. They asked me, what is your qualifications?
Yep.
I don't qualify, but I'm still mad that you don't give me that job.
Yep.
But I'm expecting to have this job.
Yep. And here's the other thing, and Kevin talks about it a lot, because we have these grandiose ideas, and Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and TikTok and whatever else I can't think of have given us these delusions of grandeur. No matter how you bust it down, if we just going across all men, give or take, depending on what study you look at, the average man in the United States of America right now is making about 40 grand a year. So that's the middle guy. That's the middle. Again, we talk about averages. The middle of the pack dude is making about 40 grand.
Bro.
So you got to think as women, even for those, because I know somebody, I know dudes that's making, again, you may know somebody that's making six figures or well into the sixes. That is an anomaly, extreme anomaly.
And for that one that you know that makes that,
right?
How many do you know that are not?
That's the point.
I guarantee you, it's
way more.
The scale is not equal, but also, right, for those that follow the IG models, no, they are making their own money.
Yeah,
cool, got it. But women are there's I'm not going to say all, but some women are looking at these women on IG and the way they live and flying out and different things. Majority of those women are single, and
that's my point. I always make.
And then you say, "Oh well, she's single by choice." Cool, but then no, if she's single by choice,
right,
then you can't be mad that you don't have anyone in your life.
Right,
and every situation in your life is a temporary situation.
Right,
he flies you out.
Yes.
He flies you back.
He gets the viscosity and flies you back.
And you're back to being just you and being pretty on IG. Cool, nothing wrong with it. We also have the women that look for the hot girl summer. We listen to Meg. Meg has a boyfriend. We listen to City Girls. They're in relationships too. With either South, one of them, the relationship was Southside. The other one was Yachty, not Yachty, but whatever her name is. But these women are talking about the hot girl and being single and all. Every one of these chicks are in relationships, but they preaching to you that the women empowerment.
Right.
They let Cardi is in a relationship.
Yes.
So what does that tell you?
Well, here's the thing though, too. Go ahead. Finish your point. My bad.
Rap version of D.D. Jakes.
Here's the thing, guys. We look at these people, and even Skeens, the ones that are in relationships, as you and I always talk about, who's in successful relationships, healthy relationships, though. That's even less.
But like I said, the thing is, they're listening to these women about being single and living your best life, but they preaching it to you while being in a relationship. That's like a dude telling you, "Hey, be healthy." But he got pork chops in. He got 7 pork chops on the plate.
Yes. Now, women, tell us, when did the lines get blurred of where we don't want accountability, though? Because here's our thing: we're not. While we are pro men dudes, we are also pro accountability on both sides. We both have to be accountable in this thing. It's not just one or the other, and you can't ask for. I saw a video with a chick. She doesn't work. The dude is talking about, at this stage in my life, and we've been together, I'm trying to get us a crib. I'm trying to make these long-term moves.
Dude in the UK?
Yes. I'm trying to make these long-term moves, and the chick is still talking about Chanel bags and stuff like that. He's like, you know what I'm saying?
And then he asked
and she wanted with a straight face. She's like, that's what I'm supposed to get.
And then he asked her, well, what about you saving money? Are you doing anything to save any money? She got mad that she was all out offended that he brought up asking her if she's saving any money.
Because also she was talking about, I just got you back and you want to go on a trip. She's like, why can't we have both?
Yeah. She wanted to go to Greece for
I can't remember what it was.
He had just bought a bag, just bought this $20,000-$30,000 bag.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yo, I'm working. And I'm the money I was making is great money, but it was extraordinary money. It was just me.
Yep.
I'm now having to factor you into this life.
Right.
And I'm also having to be smart with the money that I'm making because I'm trying to build a future for us. I can't build a future when you're constantly living for the day.
Right. And here's the other thing. Here's the other part that I saw that Kevin gets flack for is, who does he think he is to rate women? So let's do this, Skeens. Well, let me ask you.
Well,
you guys.
He asked them to rate themselves. So
he does, but let's just, when he said, again, in his opinion, Sweetie was a 6.
He said an adjustable 6.
That's his
depending
word.
on what she wears and how she looks.
Yep.
And for the women to say, oh, she's a 10. Well, if she's a 10.
Tell women what a 10 is.
Tell Sweetie to go out the house without wearing any makeup.
Any makeup, no hair, no nails, no eyelash, no nothing. How many 10s do you really know?
Sweetie would you would have to put out a missing part. She'd be like the old school on a milk.
And that's not a knock. It's just the reality of where we just put folks that we see that are glam squatted up. Oh, she's perfect.
She's a cute girl, but we don't understand. She's cute, but there's probably thousands of dollars of makeup and glamorizing of her every day.
Every single day.
One of the girls, the JT, the city, one of the
city girls.
They showed her before and after pictures before she had all the plastic surgery.
Yeah.
She looked like two different people. But then she's telling you ain't this. Hold on, my friend. You are a walking lie.
Yes. You're dressed up as a character.
Not just you've lied so much that you permanently changed who you are. You remember back in the day, it was a issue. This when it was an Asian guy sued his wife.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. Yep.
She had tons of plastic surgery.
Yep.
And didn't tell him, so the babies came out looking like the way that she looked.
Yep.
Before the pre-surgery, when he got the kids, he was like, "Yo, these ain't mine."
Right.
They was like, "No, partner, them
you the pappy."
And he was like, "Absolutely not." So later, he found out that she had all this surgery.
Yep.
And he won.
Yeah. Now here's the thing, though, Skeen. Let me finish, bro. Several things. Hey, they say, who is he to rate somebody? Skeen, why are we pretending like we don't rate people all day, every day?
Everybody.
Why are we pretending like we don't rate folks, man?
Okay. There's such when you go to a restaurant or anywhere, don't you get a Google review?
We rate everything.
You rate the movies that you watch.
What's the first thing we do? Hey, man, what's that new spot? Such and such.
How was it?
We go in the phone.
We Google it.
Oh, yeah, man, that joint rated a 4.6, man.
You got Rotten Tomato.
We go on Amazon. Before I purchase some on Amazon, I look at them Amazon reviews.
That's a rating.
That's a rating. Why are we pretending like we don't rate? Why are we pretending like women don't rate men?
Well,
girl, what he look like? Girl, what does he do? That's rating him.
That's the first question that when your girl, when she has a friend, girl, what does he do?
That's rating. You're rating him.
Bro, rating is as American as apple pie. You know why?
Yes, go ahead.
Two things, right?
Go ahead.
When you run for office,
go ahead.
You win based off what?
Yes.
The tally, the total.
That is what?
Rating.
A rating.
When you go to school, your grades
are what?
A, B, C, or D. What
or
is that?
F.
Or F. What is that?
A rating.
When you take the ACT, depending on your score, or the ACT, depending on where you're at, they tell you in whatever percentile.
Yes.
Rating. When you in real life, you're in the top 1 percentile. You're in the bottom 50 percentile. Whatever. It's still rating.
At your job, when they talk to you about your annual review or they talk to you about your quarterly raise, that is a rating. When you get ready to have that first interaction with him and he pull down and you looking, you are rating him. And your girl said, "Girl, how was it?" You give her a rating.
Even that, not just that. When you go to the club,
yes,
it's not the same like it used to be.
Right.
When at the end of the night they used to have when the DJ would slow everything down.
Yeah, man.
You had the quiet moment.
Yeah.
Start playing all the slow music.
Let me set the scene.
Yeah. the genuine, the genuine. You got the genuine roll. Everybody doing the pony and all that. When the guy walks up behind her and start dancing on him, what does she do?
She does it.
She look at her homegirl.
You will do this, and you look at your homegirl, and she's gonna give you a look to let you know thumbs up or thumbs down because you're rating.
So why are we acting like we're shocked of a rating? It's as American as apple pie. And I hate apple pie, by the way. But
we rate everything. But again, we're coming to a culture where we're talking about patriarchy and all this kind of stuff all the time. A man can't, no, everybody's fine. Nobody's out of shape. And really, and Kev has helped to and again, he's just one, he's the one that's been elevated right now. But dudes are simple.
Mm-hmm.
Skeens and our thing, we used to always say, we want a chick that's cool. We said we want a 7 with some nice work. That's cool. I mean, there's some other little, maybe each person little other things, but that's pretty much it.
Drama free. Want to be able to hang out with you. Good sense of humor.
Yes.
Good conversation. The rest will work itself out.
That's it.
And be loyal.
Yeah.
The rest will work itself out.
Kevin breaks down. I think he says fit, feminine, and cooperative.
Everything.
And women, the lines have gotten so blurred of femininity, and to where women again take, oh, you a feminine kind of chick. That's like, oh, what you trying to say? I'm weak? No, I mean that you're operating in your natural order. That's what I'm saying. That's why you have those two roles of again, a dude. Okay, I'll say this. There's a way that I communicate with Skeens as my cousin and my brother, in a way that I talk to him that is totally opposite than I talk to my wife.
Absolutely.
Because she's a woman.
Dynamics. Well,
why are we pretending like we don't understand that these days?
And I always go back to my light reference.
Go ahead.
Plugging in.
Go ahead.
You have a female in and you have a male in.
We got all these plugs down here. Wait, I got one.
You know what I'm saying? If I plug in, if I try to connect two female ends together, I get nothing.
You can't take two of these
and create anything
and get these lights and cameras and stuff to turn on.
I get a female plug-in and a male plug-in. Let there be light. Even in your so also your battery. Mm-hmm. What does your battery have?
Come on.
A positive and negative. To start your car, if just the ground is plugged in, you're not moving anywhere. If the positive is plugged in, you're not moving anywhere.
To plug this headphone jack into this computer over here, it's not another one of these.
Mm-hmm. And
to charge your phone.
Exactly. So this basically says that we need both sides to work.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Not one side is more important than the other.
Both are necessary.
Both are equally as important.
Yes.
So we continue to lose sight of the importance of our counterpart and forgetting that without my counterpart, there's no form of reprocreation. I don't care what sperm bank you go to, because that sperm came from your counterpart.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
No egg, whether you have a sperm or you went somewhere and got the egg, that egg came from your counterpart.
That's it.
We have to truly understand, accept, and respect each other for who we are, what we bring to the table.
There you go.
The end.
Good night. God bless and good night. So that's, guys, at the end of the day, Skeens and I, I'm about to be 40 next year. Skeens is turning 41 in 6 days.
Okay, man. Scrap the episode. Scrap it.
But no, man, we just came from an era and a time where you had those dynamics like that, the masculine and feminine, and both were necessary for the success of the household. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be where the success of our culture and our community comes from. And it's not going to be where these lines are just blurred. Everything is just a blurred line. Everything is just this subject. And it's the other part of it is that I don't want to judge. No, some things need some stuff about me needs to be judged, man.
Bro,
some stuff about you I got to be able to check you about.
As we said, there should not be a problem to shaming you into greatness.
Some stuff is shameful. When you, as a little boy, you go in the tub and not really wash up, and your mom be like, boy, you ought to be ashamed. Yes, because you about to be stanking and funky. You should be ashamed. She shamed your parent, shamed you into cleaning your behind properly. Yeah. Fellas, y'all know I always be talking about sex. If you and your girl get together and every time you 30 seconds, you hey. You should be ashamed. Hey, she wants to shame you into greatness.
Hey, even if she have to shame you to go take one of them blue boys.
Whatever you gotta do.
Whatever it
there's no hey. You do what you gotta do. You got a reputation of hole here.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. So anyway, man, I think Kevin, in conclusion, I think Kevin is important. I think the manosphere is important. Our Skeens and I getting hardline manosphere red pill guys. We're simple common sense guys.
That's really we just simple common sense guys. And to put a nice little button and bow on it, I cannot expect more of my wife that I myself am willing to bring to the table. Likewise, she does not expect more of me than she is willing to bring. That chick is a hustler, man. She be, babe, I'm thinking about, okay, cool. Let's hey, we doing this. We got a new bed. We put it together. Together. Mm-hmm. We're in this together. That's what it's about. It's not about these factions because, again, we're the most educated, most liberated, most internet phone connected, but our families are the worst they've ever been.
Most divided.
We're the most divided ever. Why? We got to make a return back. We got to go back to the essence and the building blocks of how things were formed.
Isn't that crazy? We're more connected than ever by way of the internet. You're connecting to people that you never would have met.
No,
you probably shouldn't ever meet.
Right.
Because of location.
Yep.
But yet and still, we are as divided as ever.
As ever.
Whether we're talking about in your house when you and your mate both on the phone the whole time.
Guilty. Been there, done it.
You have to eat. Everybody's on their phone.
Yes.
You don't talk to your neighbors. The kids don't talk to each other.
I mean, we ain't the most neighborly folks sometimes.
Hey,
I'm gonna try to get better at that though. But
I'm a recluse. But
I got you.
I was a recluse before the phones.
Yeah, for real. I mean, so
I love them. But it just shows that we've really became addicted to being so narrow-minded and one-sided in our view.
There you go.
That we don't appreciate everything. It's just like that movie Her, when those people were they had a relationship with that computer.
Yep, that's it.
That you forgot everything that was in front of you.
The beauty of everything around you.
The beauty of life. The woman that woman that should be your mate. The job that you should have, seeing and appreciating nature and every breath that you have that's there. Mm-hmm. We're taking it all for granted.
That just made me think about, we'll close it out here. As long as Liz and I have been together, I never felt more connected and really understood the love that I have for her more than when I kind of had, some little helpless moments when she was going through complications when Trey was being born. And just in those moments where you feel like you're out of control and you don't know what's going on, what's going to happen, what's going on with her, what's going on with this new baby, I'm digesting, I'm on the doorstep of being a new father. He's in the NICU for a week or whatever.
So shout out to Scoop.
Yeah. Oh man, I meant to do that at the beginning of the episode, but our brother Scoop, man. Again, his baby. We've been praying for little Amari. He's going home today, man, and it was really touching my heart. But that made me think about it too. Is that strip everything away? And there was a moment there where they were doing some stuff with Liz when she was, and they took Trey. He couldn't even keep him there because they had to take him to the NICU because of this, because of that. And she's there, and they're trying to, find out where she's bleeding from, and this and that and the third. And they finally find it. And I just went over to her and kissed her on the forehead. And there was a guy that came in with the ultrasound machine that was trying to find where they could try to find where this bleeding was. And in that little small moment, I wish I could remember that guy's name. But he had an old school Tom Selleck mustache, though. I remember that. And when I kissed her, he looked at me and he said, "Man, you really love her." And I do. And that's without any of this other stuff. It doesn't matter. She's the person that I want to build this family and this legacy with. And that's where it started, right there. All this other stuff of us, again, as Schemes was talking about, us having to draw the line in the sand over every single little thing. It don't matter, man. It don't matter. We got to be trying to find out how we can work together and understand each other. Kev talks about it's okay for a woman or me or Schemes to say what we want, but the people that you want, what do they want?
Mm-hmm. And how do we get it together?
And how do we get that together?
Bro.
Yep. How do we get that together? How do we get here and how do we get there? So.
Yeah, man. Oh, side note. Shout out to my niece, India.
Shout out to India, man.
Just graduated. India Monet.
Shout out to India, man. Graduated high school. Shout out to nephew.
Nephew getting ready to come up.
Kaneda Price, getting ready to come up. Shout out to all the graduates, man.
2020 was a hard year.
And you pressed through, you made it. It's brighter things in your future, man. And I know Schemes will echo this. If we can give you anything, make the sacrifices now, so you don't have to work as hard later.
Absolutely, it's time to grind, baby.
So anyway, man, this has been another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your man, Jay Carter, and the man that has always heard and never seen, Schemes.
What up?
And we will holler at y'all on the next one. Peace.
Well, you